Hello, class. Due to the inclement weather, class was canceled for this evening, but it's better that we are all safe than sorry, especially in the wake of a blizzard. We want to make sure that all the streets are properly plowed and sanded. We certainly don't want any casualties, God forbid. What I wanted to do is I left some specific instructions for you for this week, for week 2. By the way, Brockton still will be meeting tomorrow night, but Brockton and New Bedford, feel free to listen to this webcam and learn from it. And also the assignments are all posted the same for both campuses. So yes, Brockton, as far as I know, there will be class tomorrow night, unless you hear something differently from me. New Bedford, there isn't. So having said that, let's proceed forward as if we were in class tonight, but not a long class, just a kind of a summary or a mini lecture on Chapter 2, which is resource utilization. And what is resource utilization? Resource utilization is to really define what economics is. Economics is the allocation of scarce resources. To an economist, all resources are considered to be scarce. For example, if you turn on your water faucet and there's plenty of water, it's probably scarce somewhere else in the world. If you have plenty of natural resources, such as food, clothing, barley, wheat, so forth, in other parts of the world it may be scarce. Oil, we import a lot of oil. It may be a scarcity to us where we have resources that natural resources that we can barter for oil. In this chapter, we're going to talk about the central fact of economics and explain how it relates to an economic problem. I want you to read all about that. Be able to explain the concept of opportunity cost. What is the most expensive cost of something that we forego, like what is the cost of the item that we forego in order to make another decision. And sometimes it isn't only cost, it could be quality, it could be a lot of reasons, but you forego whatever it is and the cost of what you forego and attach an expense to it to the decision you're actually making. So that is the opportunity. The opportunity is to do something else that you would normally make a decision to do, and what is the cost of that something else. And the other thing we're going to talk about is what they commonly refer to as the PPF, the Production Possibilities Curve. And the Production Possibilities Curve basically doesn't have a cost attached to it at all. All it means is with the resources, the scarce resources that we have on the planet, we could produce X amount of products and produce Y amount of another product, and within those resources and how those resources are allocated, we can only produce so much of X and Y. And that is something that we're going to talk about as well. And we're also going to talk a little bit about efficiency. What is efficiency? How important is it for us to be efficient at what we do? And we're going to talk about what we refer to as productive efficiency. Finally, what are some of the factors that make an economy grow? What is responsible for making an economy grow? So, having said that, what I like to do is get started about 4 basic things that you might even find in accounting. And that is, what are the terms labor, land, capital, and entrepreneurship? These terms are relatively easy to understand, and you know that's an accounting formula. But land, labor, is very important for us. Land is a natural resource, and so is labor, when you think about it. Labor is a factor of production. Without labor, we can't produce the natural resources. The more we can produce of natural resources in a more efficient manner, it appears to be by economies of scale, the more we have of that natural resource, where we otherwise wouldn't. We'd be able to produce things more efficiently and therefore more inexpensively. So, in saying this, what I'd like to do next is to kind of cover the concepts of a production possibility curve and what is it. I would like to also have you talk about something very important. And it's along the lines of scarcity, where all resources are considered scarce. And that is, economy is really a very efficient way of producing natural resources. When I use the word economy, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is maximizing the efficiency of a resource within a certain parameter of space. Importing resources from other areas that are not commonly innate to the area where it's getting imported makes that resource more valuable and more expensive. For example, if you had a cork and you put it on a wine bottle, well, once you finish the wine, how much is the cork worth? Not very much, right? But say you're in the middle of the ocean and you had a hole in your boat, and the size of that cork was the only thing that would be able to plug up that hole so you wouldn't sink. How much would that cork be worth? So therefore, values of resources are relative to its use as much as its anticipated value based on some factor of want and need. Natural resources, their value is usually predicated on need. If their value is based on wants, and the want is great, then individuals that live within a certain budget would have to give up some things in order to satisfy that want. And what they give up is going to be their opportunity cost. I hope this helps a little bit with understanding some of the concepts that others may find a little bit more difficult. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to answer the following questions. And the first question that I'd like you to answer is this one. And I believe in your book it's the section on answers to further thought and discussion. And that is, if you were in a position to run our economy, what steps would you take to raise our rate of economic growth? So these are some of the things that you can look up in your book to answer those questions. But I'd be prepared to answer those in a classroom environment if they were asked. The next thing is, under what circumstances can we operate outside our production possibilities curve? Remember, production possibilities are going to be what we can produce in their natural state given a certain amount of parameters based on the economy's X and Y, or the resources X and Y. So every factor of A will be able to produce some factor of B and vice versa. So one thing becomes an opportunity cost for another when we talk about the PPF. I want you to write this down. Give an example of an opportunity cost for an individual, and then give an example of an opportunity cost for a whole country. When you talk about a whole country, a whole nation, you're talking about the aggregate, the big picture. For individual opportunity costs, you could be talking about a household. The other thing that this chapter talks about is full employment and full production. What would it be harder for a nation to do? And this is what I want you to read about and be able to discuss when we get together in week 3. Again, would it be harder for a nation to attain full employment or full production? Could a nation's production possibility frontier ever shift inward? And if it could, what would be responsible for causing that shift? Another one would be, what is the opportunity cost that you incurred by going to college? What did you have to give up to do that? And finally, try to answer this question: why is scarcity central to economics? Do you think it's harder to attain full production or full employment? And which is more beneficial? Finally, discuss the 3 concepts upon which the law of increasing cost is based. Well, try to answer these questions as best you can in reviewing this chapter. And what I'm going to do is try to post in your announcement section a couple of videos for you on opportunity cost and also PPF. Be safe and be warm in the snow, and remember to look for hypothetical number 1, which is your first test that is due next week. I will post it soon. Thank you, be safe, and always reach out to me if you have any questions. Feel free to get going with your project. 8 weeks goes by pretty quick. Okay, stay safe.